That bell means that dinner is served. I'm Ben Bernard, historian at the University of Virginia, and this is Founding Footprints, a podcast sponsored by the Virginia 250 Commission in partnership with the Charlottesville Albemarle Convention and Visitors Bureau, the CACVB. The CACVB has developed thematic itineraries to pair with each episode, so to see what they've developed for this month, check out visitcharlottesville.org. Driving over from downtown Charlottesville in the springtime, we turn off the highway and feel transported back in time. Cars zoom up the curve of the Thomas Jefferson Parkway, through the greenery and up the mountainside. You can't miss the Meadow Run Grist Mill, a large restored wooden water wheel. And after you park at this white colonial building and emerge from your car, a greeter in period costume calls out to welcome you to Michie Tavern.
Have you had lunch with us before?
No, first time.
Did you float in on the smells, or was it a recommendation?
It was definitely a recommendation.
Okay, well, right here in the glass case is the full bill of fare if you haven't read or heard about us. It's a full Southern buffet. You'll go up the steps to the door where the bell is. Our hostess will get you started.
We enter into a sort of dark, cozy, elevated log cabin, as if it's candlelit, and treat ourselves to the Southern buffet. Hi, we're doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Have you been here before, honey?
No, we haven't.
You've never been here. Well, this is a Southern buffet. As a buffet, you want to serve yourself. Anything you like, any seconds you want, can be brought to you by the servers at the table. That's what makes our service special.
We've got fried chicken, hickory smoked pulled pork, cornbread, beets, and more. It smells terrific, and to be honest, recording this is actually making me pretty hungry. While I was visiting Michie Tavern, the director of the institution, Greg MacDonald, agreed to sit down with me for an interview. We walked through the sort of labyrinthine bar area of the tavern and found a corner to sit in for our discussion.
I'm Gregory MacDonald. I'm the director here at Michie Tavern.
And how long have you been the director?
47 years. So it's a family business.
Okay.
So that's what got me here right out of college. And 47 years later, I am glad to say I'm still here. So Michie Tavern is a tavern that dates back to 1784 when a fellow by the name William Michie started the tavern. His father had come from Scotland and done well in this country, ended up acquiring 1,000 acres from Patrick Henry's father, of all people. And on that piece of that 1,000 acres, William started the tavern in 1784. It became a well-known tavern. The Mickies were a more affluent family than most tavern owners, so ran a nicer tavern than most. And like most taverns out in the country, it was on a stagecoach route.
Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about what a tavern was for?
In the 1780s, not only did locals socialize at taverns, but they catered to the travelers traveling through. And not only did you socialize and enjoy adult beverages that they offered, but they were the restaurants of the day and they were the hotels of the day. And the innkeeper would also take care of your horses during your stay. We no longer take care of horses,
Okay.
but we are glad to serve a meal, what we think is typical of what Mr. Michie might have served back in the day, but we don't have any overnight accommodations either.
What kinds of records have you come across for what he might have been like and what the place was like?
We know little about the history of the tavern when it was operating, but we do know about the Michie family. And again, they were a very prominent family, active in the community. We think their tavern was probably nicer than the typical.
Has it been operated continuously?
It has not. So most taverns, like Michie Tavern, they're out on stagecoach routes, ended up closing because railroads ended up becoming the preferred way to travel. Stagecoach travel fell out of favor. And that was, for the most part, soon after the Civil War. in general, that's the time frame of most country taverns closing. The tavern also has another interesting piece of history. So the current site right now is not the original site of Michie Tavern. It was 17 miles from here, and it was, again, on a stagecoach route. And a local businesswoman had the vision soon after Monticello opened, purchased the tavern, dismantled it, brought it to this site, reconstructed it, and opened its doors on this site in 1928, almost coming up on the 100th anniversary of that historic move. And she was a lady who had an extensive antique collection, and she really wanted to show off her antiques.
She wasn't your ancestor.
She was not. She only owned it for a short period of time. We know 1929 was not a kind year to the economy. She ended up selling it in the mid-30s. It was owned by another couple for 30 plus years, and my family got involved with it in 1968.
Can you tell me how it came into the life of your family?
It was pretty much by coincidence that my family got involved. The tavern was for sale in the 1960s, and it was in terrible state of repair. My stepfather at the time was flipping properties, and so he purchased the tavern, fixed it up, and instead of selling it, he saw the potential that it had. We have had it since that time. And all of the improvements that we now enjoy, multiple buildings on the property, food service in the tavern, has all happened since 1968.
How do you balance historical authenticity with modern conveniences?
It's a fine line because you want to do well with both. People want to sit in comfortable air-conditioned space, but we do the best we can with hiding those modern amenities so that we don't ruin the authenticity of the building and why we are still making it safe and comfortable.
And so the antiques that are surrounding us, are these part of that original collection?
Not originally.
Okay.
In the 1930s, most of Mrs. Henderson's collection, the lady who moved the tavern, ended up being taken to Gatsby's Tavern in Old Town Alexandria and then later sold. The next owners acquired their own set of antiques that were appropriate for an 18th century tavern. And now in the tavern itself, we have a mix of some authentic pieces and then some pieces that are more functional for today's use, but still with the feel of an 18th century antique.
We're coming up in a couple years on the centenary of Michie Tavern as an institution. We're also coming up on the semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary of Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence.
That's right.
At the tavern, are you thinking of doing anything for the commemoration?
So we don't have special events planned for next year, but we know it will be a grand year. We will enjoy offering what we do to complement the homes like Monticello and Highland.
Well, something that I'm thinking about is how we are looking back on this revolutionary period and have to decide as a new generation what it means to us today.
Yeah.
And considering the tavern as an institution that had so many different functions in 18th century society and the society of the Revolutionary era, would you agree with me that maybe there's something that we're missing that taverns used to provide?
Well, I think they were the places where this American experience and experiment that was happening back then, so many of those conversations took places in taverns like ours. And it brought the locals together with the folks who were traveling. News traveled through the colonies more at taverns than any other way. People weren't reading daily newspapers unless you were in a city. And I think we can all reflect on that meeting of folks and sharing ideas.
You mentioned to me that in your decades as the owner and operator of Michie Tavern, you've also made a number of improvements to the site. Could you tell me about what some of these new buildings are that you've added to the complex here?
So it's been fun. We have found some gems that we have brought to the property, the most significant one being an old grist mill. This is a mill that dates back to 1799. We found it about 40 miles from here. We dismantled it, brought it to this site. It opened up for the bicentennial year, 1976. We used part of the building to interpret what the building used to look like. The workings of the mill are still partially there. And then the rest of it is a unique retail store.
So this is the part that's lower down on the hill from the restaurant when you can
Correct.
see the water mill turning.
Yeah. It's a water wheel that dates back to about 100 years ago. Most taverns that were operating around 1900 switched to metal water wheels, which is what we have. Wooden ones were very hard to keep balanced.
You mentioned that this was a kind of addition for the bicentennial year.
Yes.
Were you around for that?
That was the year before I arrived. But again, this was a family business. All family members were involved with the business. The privilege of being a family member is you have to work here when you're young, and you're underpaid and overworked, but it's a great way to build character. So all the family members have lots of character.
And is your family from the region here in Virginia?
Not originally. We came here in the mid-60s. We were originally transplanted Yankees from Connecticut, but we certainly consider ourselves Southerners now.
I bet. Do you remember the mood of the bicentennial?
Very much so. There was tremendous excitement in the country.
Really?
Yeah, and it was the strongest that I can remember in my years. The bicentennial and the following 5 years were very strong years for our region. Williamsburg was thriving. There was great American patriotism.
I mean, it sounds like you sort of look back on that fondly. Maybe there's some regret that level of interest hasn't necessarily been maintained.
You're correct that there isn't the enthusiasm this time around. When we got involved with the business in 1968, so that was, the bicentennial was 8 years away. They were already starting to talk about it and what they were going to be doing and the facilities they were going to be building to celebrate the bicentennial. So I don't see that level of enthusiasm right now, but hopefully we can catch up quickly.
So tell me how you use the oldest part of this tavern. I mean, some parts are newer, some parts are older.
So the original part of the tavern, for 90 years, people would tour through here, learning about 18th century life and our tavern in particular. And in 2019, we decided to make a change and turn it back into what it originally was. And that's a working tavern where people can enjoy food and beverage in the oldest part to get a feel for a true, authentic feel of an 18th century tavern. And we do that on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 3:30 to 7.
Oh, that's terrific. I'll definitely have to come back for that. One last question for you, Greg. Can you tell me a little bit about what it feels like to be the caretaker of a historic site like this?
It's a very special responsibility to be the caretaker during my career. And, I'm just the steward of this property for the years that I'm here. History never changes, but what we learn about history is constantly changing. We're always trying to make it authentic and interesting and leave it better than how we found it. And so we feel good about what we've accomplished during the 57, 58 years our family has had it, and look forward to what the next generation will do with it.
Founding Footprints is a VA 250 project. America, made in Virginia. This podcast is a production of the Virginia Audio Collective at WTJU 91.1 FM. Hosted by Dr. Benjamin Bernard with sound design by Sage Tanguay, editing by Ella Powell, and music provided by Blue Dot Sessions. If you'd like to explore the history of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, you can find more information at visitcharlottesville.org. Virginia is for history lovers.